Hi, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to look at about blanks notebook. When I say about blanks, I didn't mean all the blank notebooks I have, but it's a brand about blanks from Netherlands. These notebooks are unique because they basically reuse and repurpose old books, vintage books, and make them into a new notebook, journal, or sketchbook, depending on how you want to use it. Here is a unique notebooks made from old book covers and recycled materials. You can see imperfections. It does have that old books texture like you would find in a big library or some used bookstore. I bought this from the store Goods for the Study in New York. Every time I go to New York, I will pick up one from their store. And so far I have two, but I have never used them and I don't know how they perform. In this video, I'm going to test it with some pens, marker, and highlighters to figure out what it can do. The notebook itself is pretty simple and straightforward. Basically, it looks like an old book. Let's take off the paper sleeve. And you do see the price here. It's around $30 each. It's a little pricey, but consider how many pages you get. I think it's not too bad. You have the logo inside the cover. Other than that, it's basically blank pages inside. I think they call this paper their sketch paper, but I'm not sure how durable they are or how well they handle pens and inks. The paper is thicker than Hobonichi paper, I would say, or moleskin, and they don't exactly lay flat, but it's not too bad, especially if you have something to weight this down a little bit. This is the spine of the book. It's hard to tell if they stitch those pages together or they just glue it, but here is the close-up. The concept is pretty simple and straightforward. Basically, you reuse an old book and I guess fill in your own story. So now let's start testing the paper and see how well it performs. I usually do my pen test on the last page of my notebook, and I have some pens to start with. First, I have this Pilot G2 0.7. I would say the paper is smooth, but so far it has some texture. Try with different color. And then I have this Sakura Jelly Roll Moonlight. Let's try it with a darker color. So far it's very comfortable to write with and the experience is good. Hopefully no bleed through. I'll finish the first batch of testing before I look at the bleed through situation. And this is Papermate Enjoy 0.7. And then this is Zebra Sarasa Clip 0.5. This is one of my favorite pen to write with. And then I have Uniball 1 0.7. I think this one from the vintage color set. And then I have this Rytech 0.5. I love using their pen in my field notes. Before I continue to test out more pens, let's look at the bleed through. I would say it performs well. I can see some ghosting on the Sakura Jelly Roll, the 1.0 thickness. But other than that, maybe slight ghosting. Definitely no bleed through. Now let's continue the test. This one is from Pentel Energel 0.7. I think at this point we can conclude that gel pens works well with this notebook. Now let's try some highlighter and marker pen and brush pen and see how those performs. First, I have this Pentel brush pen that I use it for drawing. And then I have this zebra mildliner. And also test out the fine tip as well. And I also have this Tombow dual brush pens. Let's try with the lighter color first. Now let's try the darker color. And then I also have this Sailor Shikori brush pen. And I also have this Pentel Touch Sign pen. And lastly, I thought I would also try this Sharpie Creative Marker. I think this is acrylic base. Okay, now it's time to see how bad the bleed through is. Wow, I'm very impressed. Very impressed by their paper. I only see ghosting. I don't see any serious bleed through. And now let's look at the close-ups. I don't see any feathering with any of these pens so far. Even with this thick juicy Pentel brush pen, no bleeding or feathering. I'm very impressed by their paper. Before I finish up this review, I also want to do some testing with the fountain pens that I have been using to see how they perform. I thought I also want to do an ink swatch. This is Diamond Shimmer ink. This will be a true test of this paper. I'm guessing it will bleed through slightly. I thought while I'm at it, might as well try some watercolor as well. This one is Derwent Watercolor. Okay, now I'm going to let it dry and see what's happened behind the page. The ink swatch is almost dry. Let's flip the page. So as you can see, most of the fountain pen works well, except the flex nib, very slight bleed through, but it's not horrible. Even the ink swatch that it wet the page so much, but you can see the result is not horrible. I think this paper has proved itself and it's really impressive even with the watercolor. I mean, the paper absorbs the water and it does warp a little bit, but other than that, most of them, they don't bleed through to the next page. So I think if you are someone who like to do creative journal, you can do a lot with this journal. And here's a close-up of the ink swatch. You can even see some shining and shimmering with this ink. This is Diamond Happy Holiday. Such a beautiful ink. So for the pen test on this about blank notebook, I have done most of the gel pen and some highlighter and brush pens, and then also fountain pens, as well as ink swatch and watercolor. So far, this notebook has performed beyond my expectation. I really didn't expect this kind of result, but I'm glad that it has good quality because this notebook is not exactly cheap. Before I did all this testing, I didn't expect this paper to perform so well. If I knew, I probably would buy multiple of these notebooks. So next time I go to New York, I definitely will pick up one or two to add to my collection. I think this is a great way to reuse, repurpose old stuff, turning an old book into a brand new notebook. So if you are someone like me who love collecting notebooks and want to try out some different unique notebooks, I would definitely recommend about blanks. A very simple but meaningful, purposeful notebook. Reuse old book cover, and now you can start to write your own story. I'm happy to add this to my collection and I want to start to use them soon. Thanks for joining me today for this review and pen test. I appreciate your time and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.